Namaskaram to all of you and a warm welcome to the Swayam MOOC Telugu learning program. My name is Battula Venkateshwarlu and I will be your instructor of our Telugu language course. Today we will explore an important aspects of Telugu grammar, the hotative mood. The hotative form plays a major role in Telugu grammar, expressing suggestions, invitations and collective intentions. It is always used in the plural form and refers to future actions. An important concept here is clusivity, in which both speaker and the listener belong to the same group involved in the action. Let's look at examples of hotative forms in Telugu. Chaduvudam, which means let's read. Raddam, which means let's write. Like Leddam, let's get up. Cheddam, let's do. Piluddam, let's call. Podama, shall we go? Kaluddam, let's meet. Ekkudam, let's climb. Digudam, let's go down. Undam, let's be. Vaddam, let's come. Adugudam, let's ask. Cheppudam, let's say. Kalchudam, let's burn. The suffix dam conveys a communal or inclusive suggestions encouraging joint action among the speaker and listeners. This form is crucial in conversational Telugu for polite request and invitations. Now let's see the conversation part. Here I am going to introduce some corrections and the main conversation will go along with them. As I explained earlier, the hotative forms will always appear in the future and the plural. We'll see conversation. మనం ఇప్పుడు పాఠం చదువుదాం రండి. Let's study the lesson now. అవునా, ఏ పాఠం చదువుదాం? Which means, yes, which lesson should we study? ఏదో ఒకటి చదివి రాద్దాం, అందుకని తొందరగా లేద్దాం. Which explore that, let's read and write something, so let's get up early. అవునా, అలాగే చేద్దాం. స్నేహితులను పిలుద్దామా? Which means, yes, let's do that. Shall we call our friends? సరే పిలుద్దాం. అందరూ వచ్చాక లైబ్రరీకి పోదామా? Which means, okay, let's call them. When everyone arrives, shall we go to the library? Here we will see the explanation. The Vimal character will say, మనం ఇప్పుడు పాఠం చదువుదాం రండి. Which means that, let's study the lesson now. In this sentence, manam means we, indicating that speaker is including themselves along with others. It signals the first person plural subject. Ippudu, which means now, marking the present moment or immediate time form. Patam means lesson, the direct object referring to what will be studied. Chaduvudam is the hotative form of the verb to study, combining the verbal root with the plural future suffix indicating a suggestion or invitation for collective action. Let's study. Randi is a polite honorific imperative meaning, which means come, used here to encourage or invite participation. It can be singular or plural depending on the context, but functions as a respectable command or invitation. Together, this phrase forms a warm, inclusive invitation to study collectively at the present moment. Using this structure effectively demonstrates how Telugu hotative forms are employed to advise or invite action that include both the speaker and the listener, emphasizing group participation with a polite tone. This is essential for both everyday communication and educational context. Here is an explanation notes for the Telugu expression అవునా. Then Vinay will say అవునా ఏ పాఠం చదువుదాం, which means that yes, which lesson should we study? We'll see the explanation now. Avuna, is it an exclamatory word used to express affirmation or agreement similar to yes or indeed in English? It is used here as a spontaneous response acknowledging the previous suggestions or question. This term carries no gender discrimination and can be used universally regardless of the speaker's gender. It is a colloquial and polite way of saying yes with an added tone of enthusiasm or confirmation. The punctuation reinforces the exclamatory and affirmative tone. This use of avuna, it is common in spoken Telugu to convey lively agreement and encourage continuation or further elaboration as seen in the follow-up question about the lesson to study. The next conversation we will go. ఏదో ఒకటి చదివి రాద్దాం, అందుకని తొందరగా లేద్దాం, which means let's read and write something, so let's get up early. Here ఏదో means something used when the exact nature of the thing is unknown or unspecified and refers to a singular item. ఒకటి, which means one, here used as a measure word or unit that often refers to a lesson or unit. చదివి is the past adjectival participle form of the verb to read, indicating the action having read. Next one is radam is the hotative form of the to write, indicating a suggestion or invitation in the first person plural. Let's write. Andukani means therefore or so, providing the reasoning or cause. Tondaraga denotes early. Leddam means is the hotative form of meaning let's get up together. This sentence is the polite and inclusive suggestions to read and write something and then get up early, implying a plan for joint action. The use of the participle chadivi with the hotative verb radam forms a smooth, natural phrase in Telugu for instructions or encouragement. Then Vinay will say, అవునా అలాగే చేద్దాం, స్నేహితులను పిలుద్దామా, which means yes, let's do that. Shall we call our friends? Here avuna is an exclamatory affirmative meaning yes or indeed, expressing agreement without gender bias. Alage means likewise or in the same way used to connect or reinforce the previous statement. Cheddam is the hotative form of the verb to do, suggesting an inclusive invitation for joint action. Let's do. Snehitulanu is the plural accusative form of friends, indicating the direct object of the verb. Piluddama is the interrogative hotative meaning shall we call, inviting confirmation or participation. This sentence exemplifies polite cooperative communication in Telugu, combining hotative verbs for suggestions and invitations with polite interrogative for group consent. We'll see the next conversation now. The next character Vimal say, సరే పిలుద్దాం, అందరూ వచ్చాక లైబ్రరీకి పోదామా, which means that okay, let's call them. When everyone arrives, shall we go to the library? Here, sare, which means okay or all right, expressing agreement or consent. Piluddam is the authoritative form of to call, used here as a polite and inclusive suggestions. Let's call. Andaru means everyone or all, referring to the complete group. Vachaka, which means after coming or when they arrive, denoting a conditional time clause. Library ki means to the library, indicating the destination with a dative case marker. Podama is the interrogative hortative form of the to go, used here invite a joint decision. Shall we go? These sentence models courteous and inclusive conversation in Telugu, combining hortative verbs for suggestions and polite interrogative for proposals or plans. It is a practical example for learners to understand how future collaborative actions and questions are framed in Telugu. This sentence beautifully shows inclusive plural forms Piluddam, Podama, time condition marker, Vachaka, dative case marker, library key, suggestions with question form, Podama. The next conversation we'll see the Vimal character. Tarvata manam paatalu vindam, which means let's listen songs later. Voddu, teacher garini kaluddam. No, let's meet to the teacher. ఇప్పుడు టీచర్ గారి ప్రాంతానికి వెళ్ళే బస్సు ఎక్కుదాం, which means that now let's get on the bus to the teacher's place. అలాగే బస్సు దిగేటప్పుడు అందరం ఒకేసారి దిగుదాం, which means that okay, when we get off the bus, let's all get off at the same time. అక్కడికి వెళ్ళాక అక్కడే ఉందామా? Will you stay there after you go there? Now we will see the one by one explanation. తర్వాత మనం పాటలు విందాం. Let's listen to songs later. Here తర్వాత means later or afterwards. Telugu follows subject, object, verb under, but time words like this can appear at the start or between elements for emphasis. Manam, which means we, paatalu, which means songs, pata singular, vindam, which means is the hortative form of to listen, suggesting collective action, which means let's listen. This sentence uses SOV structure with flexible adverb placement common in conversational Telugu. We'll see more examples. Tarvata vastam, which means will come later, between elements. Manam tarvata paatalu vindam, which means that we will listen songs later. Practice building sentences. Start with subject manam, add object paatalu, end with hortative verb vindam. This method connect defective forms, word order and vocabulary for fluent expression. Have to practice daily. Observe here full grammatical structure. Tarvata, manam, paatalu, vindam. This structure is very common in spoken Telugu. The next explanation is Voddu, teacher garini kaluddam, which means no, let's meet the teacher. Here, Voddu is a defective negative imperative meaning, which means no or don't. It expresses refusal, prohibition or lack of need. Commonly used casual speech for strong rejection. Teacher garini, which means the teacher, with the honorific garu and accusative marker ni, showing respect and direct object. Kaluddam is the authoritative form of to meet, suggesting inclusive action. Let's meet. These response pivots form refusal to a positive group suggestions. Typically polite Telugu conversation. This is a joint decision, a group suggestion, an action that includes both speaker and listener. It always means let us together. It is an inclusive and polite way. We'll check examples or వద్దు నాకు రావు, which explore that. No, can't come. With prohibition, ఇక్కడ రాయవద్దు, which will give the meaning don't write here. Polite pivot వద్దు ఇంటికి వద్దాం, which means no, let's go to home. The next explanation is here. ఇప్పుడు టీచర్ గారి ప్రాంతానికి వెళ్ళే బస్సు ఎక్కుదాం, which means that let's take the bus going to the teacher's area now. ఇప్పుడు means now. టీచర్ గారి means the teachers. Honorific గారు plus e. Preposition ప్రాంతానికి means to the area or region. వెళ్ళే బస్సు, which means the bus that goes. ఎక్కుదాం is the Hotative form to board, to climb, suggesting group action, which means let's board. For more example, ఇంటికి వెళ్ళే బస్సు ఎక్కుదాం, let's take the bus going home. అలాగే బస్సు దిగేటప్పుడు అందరం ఒకేసారి దిగుదాం, which means okay, when we get off the bus, let's all get off at the same time. The explanation alage means okay or likewise. An enthusiastic agreement linking to prior suggestions. Bassu digetappudu means when getting off the bus. Andaram means all of us. Okesari means at the same time or together. Digudam is the Hotative form of digu, suggesting group coordination. These uses a temporal clause plus Hotative for synchronized group action common in travel context. Complete grammatical meaning. This sentence uses agreement marker alage, time class, digetappudu when getting down, inclusive subject andaram, all of us, simultaneous adverb okesari, at the same time, Hotative verb digudam, let's get down. So the sentence politely and clearly gives a group instruction with timing. Practical examples are ikkada digudam, which extends that let's get off here, group timing, andaram okesari vastam, which means we all come together. Travel coordination, stop వచ్చేటప్పుడు దిగుదాం, let's get off when the stop comes. అక్కడికి వెళ్ళాక అక్కడే ఉందామా, which extend that will you stay there after you go there. The explanation is akkadiki means to there, vellaka means after going, akkade means right there. Undama is the interrogative Hotative of undu, to stay, be seeking group agreement. Shall we stay? Practical examples are ikkade undama, shall we stay here? After arrival, vachaka intlo undam, let's stay home after coming. At this stage, we will proceed to analyze one more conversation to strengthen our understanding. Ledu vaddam, no, let's go. మనకు పాఠంలో సందేహాలు ఉంటే అడుగుదాం, which means if we have any doubts in the lesson, let's ask. అలాగే మనం పడే ఇబ్బందులను చెప్పుదాం, which means let's also tell you about the problems we face. ఆ తర్వాత ఆనందంతో టపాసులను కాల్చుదాం. Which means that then let's burst crackers with joy. We'll see the one by one explanation here. లేదు వద్దాం. No, let's go. లేదు is a strong negative response. Meaning is no. A defective verb for denial distinct form వద్దు. Used for empathetic refusal. వద్దాం is the hotative form of వద్దు. Suggesting group departure, let's go. Common pivot form refusal to action. These combines outright rejection with inclusive suggestions. Typical in dynamic Telugu conversation. The practical example shall we see? లేదు ఇంటికి వద్దాం. No, let's go to home. Hotative for polite redirects in plans, enhances conversational fluency. మనకు పాఠంలో సందేహాలు ఉంటే అడుగుదాం. Which means if we have any doubts in the lesson, let's ask. Here మనకు means to us. పాఠంలో means in the lesson. సందేహాలు means doubts, questions. ఉంటే means if there are, exist. అడుగుదాం is the hotative form of అడుగు, suggesting group action. Let's ask. This uses conditional clause plus hotative for proactive classroom suggestions. This sentence encourages students' participation, active learning, no hesitation to ask doubts. It reflects a positive learning attitude. The practical examples are సందేహం ఉంటే అడుగు, ask if you have a doubt. As group, మనకు తెలియకపోతే అడుగుదాం. If we don't know, let's ask. Specifically, పాఠంలో సందేహాలు ఉంటే టీచర్ గారిని అడుగుదాం. If doubts in lesson, let's ask the teacher. అలాగే మనం పడే ఇబ్బందులను చెప్పుదాం. Which means, okay, let's also tell about the difficulties we face. The explanation are, అలాగే means, okay, మనం, we. పడే ఇబ్బందులను, which means the difficulties we face. ఇబ్బందులు, which means troubles or difficulties. Hardships, accusative-ను చెప్పుదాం is the hotative form of చెప్పు, which means to tell, say. Suggesting group sharing, let's tell. These sentences shows students are ready to open share difficulties. They want to communicate honestly with the teachers. It supports active participation and problem-based learning. Let's see the more examples related to this. మా ఇబ్బందులు చెప్పుదాం. Let's share our troubles. In workplace, ఆఫీస్లో పడే ఇబ్బందులను చెప్పుదాం. Let's discuss office troubles. ఆ తర్వాత ఆనందంతో టపాసులను కాల్చుదాం. Which means that then let's burst crackers with joy. We'll see the detailed explanation here. ఆ తర్వాత, which means then, after that, sequencing events. ఆనందంతో means with joy. టపాసులను means crackers, fireworks. Accusative, tapasu, firecrackers, common for Deepavali celebrations. Kalchudam is the hotative form of kalchu. Suggesting festive group action, let's burst. For more example, Deepavali tarvata tapasulu kalchudam, which means let's burst crackers after Diwali. Joyful, ఆనందంతో టపాసులను కాల్చుదాం. Which means, let's burst crackers joyfully. Language is one of the most difficult aspects. Reading and writing are skills that we must learn with effort. They are part of a system that does not develop naturally. Unlike speaking and listening, these skills require regular practice and careful training. They do not come automatically. Believe you have understood the Hotative forms in Telugu. With a little more practice, you will master them completely. We will meet again in the next lesson. Thank you.